Welcome to Conceive the Podcast, your resource for all things fertility, women's health and pregnancy, with your hosts, Jaya, Chinese medicine practitioner and Director of Natural Fertility Geelong, and me, Libby Morgan, Practice Manager and Jaya's friend. Today we're chatting with Maree Noonan all about supplements. Maree is a naturopath here in Geelong at the gorgeous Sarnaco Clinic. She's passionate about women's health, menstrual cycles, fertility and pregnancy. We're so grateful to have Maree here with us to chat about the important topic of supplements. Not all are created equal and not everyone needs everything. Welcome, Maree.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys.
Now, just to start the episode, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what drew you to naturopathy?
Yes, I'm a naturopath, obviously. I've been working as a naturopath for 7 years now, thereabouts. I was first drawn to naturopathy probably at the age of 21, when I got diagnosed with PCOS myself, or PCOS. And I started seeing a naturopath in Melbourne and just had an amazing experience. I was seeing a practitioner that was working alongside Ruth Trickey originally. If anyone's familiar with the amazing
Royalty.
Ruth Trickey. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't get to see Ruth herself, but another practitioner. And I just had an amazing experience with naturopathy and what it can bring to your health outside Western medicine and the treatment for PCOS. Yeah, so I loved it, and then I did a lot of travel after that, and then jumped into study. Yeah.
Great.
So loved it, and therefore today just wanting to help other women with their PCOS and fertility and everything alongside that. Yeah.
And did you always want to work in fertility?
Yeah, I guess it started with PCOS originally, and then when it came to my time when I was ready to start a family, I started researching a lot in that area and figuring out how to help myself and understand the approach that Western medicine has for PCOS infertility. Yeah, that sort of drove my passion there. Yeah, and now ever since diving into fertility and research in that area with nutrition and herbal medicine, it's a very big passion of mine. Love it. And I love it because you can see the outcome pretty quickly, usually.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump straight into it. I guess one of the biggest questions that people often have is, what is the difference between a practitioner-only brand and something you get from the supermarket or from the chemist?
Yeah.
Why should people be getting something from you rather than just anything off the shelf?
Yeah, such a great question. And it generally just comes down to quality, I think. That's the main thing, and I guess labelling. So there's a lot of misinformation on labelling around dosage, around absorbability even. So where I think the consumer can be tricked into buying things that might not be and might not actually do what it says it does. So I guess as an example, iron, for example, might say high-dose iron or magnesium, high-dose magnesium on the shelf, but the form and the dose on there might not actually be high dose, or it might not be available to the body, so bioavailable to the body.
So the active ingredient might not be as high as something.
Yeah, exactly. And it might not be as absorbable to the body. Yeah. So, to compare, what we would give you, we're, as practitioners, usually pretty choosy, very selective about what brands we might want to use due to where they might get their ingredients from and the forms and quality of those ingredients versus what you get off the shelf. Yeah, you're more than likely to get a better outcome having something prescribed to you with the right dose.
And I often find when you get supplements that you can just buy off the shelf, they have lots of other things in there that you don't want as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Additives, preservatives, fillers, all sorts of things as well. Yeah.
Am I right in thinking that fish oil is one of those ones that you should be really careful with where you buy it from?
Absolutely, yeah. Most, I guess, in the space that we're talking about today being fertility and pregnancy, and we're generally taking fish oil for its antioxidant properties and anti-inflammatory properties. So if you're buying the bulk 500 capsule on special fish oil from the chemist, it's probably not going to be very good quality, and it can be very counterproductive to what you're trying to achieve by taking that fish oil in the first. On the fish oil topic, you want to, with the ones that I like to recommend, you want to consider sustainability, where that's come from, the quality or the type of fish that they're using to put in the fish oil, what kind of screening has that fish oil gone through in regards to heavy metals and things. We all know that the ocean's not in a very good state, so it's good to consider all of those other things that can be attached to your fish oil. And then also the extraction methods, how they're extracting those qualities, those omegas from the fish oil itself and encapsulating it, and what kind of environment that's been done in.
Wow, there's a lot to
Yeah.
think about with fish oil.
Absolutely.
And if you're taking a not great quality fish oil, it can have some negative side effects.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's what I meant about counterproductive. Like it could be more oxidising and more driving that more pro-inflammatory pathway in the body rather than doing what you're wanting it to do. Yeah, absolutely.
And then how do you determine in clinic what somebody does need? And is that something that someone can determine for themselves, or is it really quite practitioner driven there?
In my opinion, very much practitioner driven. Look, it's good to be very aware of your own symptoms and things, but in my experience, and I guess with how I've been trained, testing is absolute key, especially in this space of fertility and preconception and pregnancy. You don't want to take much guesswork. You could be tired. It could mean a gazillion things.
Testing, you mean blood test?
Yeah, test it. Yeah. I stick to blood tests mainly. There's lots of other things out there with different style of testing. But yeah, usually I'll try and refer, if possible, refer through an individual's GP first and try and do basic blood work there. And then if there's anything that the GP is unable to do, then we might do some out-of-pocket testing as well. I guess on that testing front, it's good to recognise mainstream reference ranges and how they're interpreted by the GP as well. Mainstream reference ranges are based on population norm, not so much on health itself, again, in the fertility range. So you could be just inside a reference range. Let's just say vitamin D, for an example. You could be 51 or 49, which is just inside the reference range. However, in the fertility space for women, we'd want that closer to 100, 120 thereabouts. So, yeah, the testing is really important.
That's pretty key because I think a lot of people go, my GP said they were fine, so there's nothing wrong there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We really don't want your body working harder than it needs to try and have a baby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that testing is so important. And then the right prescription and dosage is equally as important, and retesting again to make sure those levels are coming up, because you can't just take 1,000 IU of vitamin D and think that your vitamin D is going to be optimal.
Yeah, the dosage side of it is really important.
Absolutely, yeah. And
often missed.
Absolutely, yeah. And just that retesting, like I can think of so many times where someone's been put on a vitamin D, end of story, nothing's been retested, and then you'll go retest it again, it's still low. And then knowing that helps drive your treatment plan for that person. Is there an absorption issue? Do they need extra cofactors? Do they need a liposomal, like a different form of vitamin? Do they have celiac? All sorts of things can come out of that. Oh, absolutely, yeah. So,
and the blood work can just give you so much of a map of what's happening in the body.
Absolutely, yeah. And I do, I guess in my clinic, I feel with how I've been trained and mentored, that's one way I strive to stand out from the crowd with my approach to fertility and the way I was trained through my amazing mentors is, looking at blood tests and making sure that you can interpret those properly. Yeah.
And let's talk about a prenatal. So a lot of people, sometimes they're just on folic acid, or they're on folic acid with iodine, or they're on something like Elevate.
When you think of what it takes to make a baby and how many nutrients and minerals.
So how important is it for it to be a prenatal in that just more than folic acid? Or?
Oh, yeah. Antioxidants are so important for that space. You're best to get a wide range of nutrients in a good quality absorbable form. Folic acid on its own, or but you can do better than those. And it's so important to look outside of that space and look at that further. And they're also they're not very cheap either. Like Elevate's, I'm going off on a tangent now. So
no,
it's true. Elevate is not that cheap.
No,
and it's really comparable. So a lot of the products we recommend.
Yeah. It's
at a
actually
similar
the same price.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think Pure Natals, like it actually works out. Yeah. Yeah,
68.
versus
Yeah.
And it lasts for 3 months in a
Yeah.
bottle. And you
Yeah.
only have to take one tablet. I don't know about it.
I
Okay.
can't remember. I haven't looked at it recently.
Yeah, good quality prenatal is
Yeah.
really important. How long would you recommend someone starts taking that before wanting to conceive?
Yeah, it all, again, is very individualised. Basic rule of thumb would be at least 3 months. However, if depending on what your baseline is, so what's your basic health like, how long have you been on the pill or rods or whatever kind of contraceptive devices, what's your history, do you have all of those things, any other sort of health conditions that you might have, you might want to supplement for longer potentially. Yeah, but at least 3 months, yeah, for sure.
And would you continue that through the whole pregnancy?
Absolutely, and breastfeeding.
Until how long generally? Or the whole time? Yep.
Yep.
It's a common question. And
Yeah.
sometimes I see people come off their prenatal after 12 weeks or as soon as they've had their baby. So it's just good to get.
Yeah, I think it's good to retest. You know, quite often women have their babies and then bam, mum, it's all about baby and then mum gets left behind. You know, you'll be iron deficient through your whole pregnancy to the end, baby's born, no one retests your iron. So making sure you've got that follow-up check-in with your naturopath or Chinese medicine practitioner, sorry. Make sure I'm including everybody here to recheck your iron and everything like that. But yeah, the natal I think is really important through breastfeeding just to then protect your nutrient stores so you don't turn into that tired, burnt out mum too quickly and deplete your stores too much. It just gives you that extra protection.
It's so good to have that appointment booked in postpartum because you just don't know what's normal. You don't know if it's just normal fatigue from having a newborn or you really
time
are
flies.
deficient.
Yeah. It should be standard actually, just to book it in, but it's very hard once a baby comes along, isn't it?
And making your health optimal through that time.
Yeah.
So it's pretty important to do that preconception workup.
Absolutely. Yeah. So even if you're still on the pill and thinking that you might want a baby in 6 months' time, start there. Start right then. They're getting, first of all, find out what tests you need to do, and you do that by checking in with a practitioner that's knowledgeable in that area. But the earlier you start, the less you'll have to take when you're pregnant. So you don't want to go into preconception iron deficient, for example.
Yeah, and you'd probably be the same as us that you're probably looking at even more blood tests than what your GP will order.
Absolutely, yeah. So we don't want to, I guess it comes from a different angle with Western medicine where they're looking for a disease state. We're looking for optimization of nutrient levels so you can be the best, healthiest mum possible. That's
healthy eggs, healthy sperm.
Healthy eggs, absolutely. Healthy sperm.
Same for the guys.
Absolutely. So all of this just as important for men. Nothing frustrates me more than getting
Same.
12 months down a rabbit hole of fertility treatment with people and you can't even get a decent semen analysis or a man's testosterone or B12 tested. It's crazy.
Or to even just start a regime with supplements.
Absolutely.
And it'd be easier for you because they'd just be taking supplements. They're less likely to come in for acupuncture.
Yeah. Oh, supplements.
That's not everyone, but
yeah, it can be challenging. Not all men. Some men are absolutely fabulous, but there's definitely
outcomes are so much better though.
Absolutely.
Things happen so much faster when both partners are on board.
Absolutely.
I can't believe it.
Absolutely. And it's just crazy to only consider half of the picture.
And even if you're doing IVF.
Absolutely.
Better fertilization.
Absolutely. And looking at man's sperm and androgenic profile and nutrients can really make a difference with those sperm parameters, especially morphology and motility, everything else. But you always, even if you are doing IVF, there's still a way to influence outcome and hopefully get a quicker, more efficient outcome for people rather than just going, we'll just do IVF and it's going to be all good. Unfortunately, that's not always the case.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
It's not a given, yeah.
Guys, just get onto it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Not being so resistant.
Yep.
It's just becoming a healthier version of yourself, essentially.
Absolutely.
You're going to feel great for anyway.
Yeah. And look, it's nobody's fault because I think Western medicine doesn't support the process a lot as well. Like, I feel like there's a lot of resistance that I find with GPs sometimes, not all GPs, some GPs, with doing the right testing in that space to optimize a man's health and fertility and libido and everything like that. They might not understand the relevance of the tests that I might want to look at in regards to sperm health. Yeah, so it can be really difficult to, and if the man's not confident in making that argument for himself in that space, it's going to be really hard to get that testing done. And if you get the knockbacks, then it's out-of-pocket testing, so it can add up, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Are we-
is- what were you
no,
gonna say?
what were you going to say?
I was going to say this next question is a big question.
Yeah.
The folic acid.
Oh, the folate debate. Here we go.
Folate.
All right.
There's a lot on
what's the
Google,
question?
isn't there?
The question is folic acid versus folinic acid or methylfolate.
Yes.
What to look for? What should people be taking? I think a lot of people are confused about
Yeah.
that area and the MTHFR gene.
Yes. Practitioners included. Everyone gets very confused on this topic.
Yes.
I'm going to attempt to
Just give us your view on it without, getting
Yes.
crazy into genetics.
Yeah, no, don't want to jump into genetics. Way out of my corner. So I guess again, going back to that most multis will have around 500 micrograms of folic acid in there or equivalent folate in there. There's many people out there, or a good portion of the population, that might have an issue absorbing folic acid, which is the synthetic version of folate. So obviously most of us know, if you're listening to this podcast, that folic acid and folate is very important for pregnancy, along with a gazillion other things that's just important. But we're talking about folic acid, obviously. So with folic acid, it is often in some over-the-counter supplements. There's a lot of the time there's really large doses of folic acid in those supplements. Not everyone can absorb folic acid, and it can cause issues in some people, meaning that it can build up in people's system and then actually block the absorption or activation of that folic acid into a usable form. Because folate is so essential for egg quality, for DNA replicate, along with your B12 and B6 and everything else. Yeah, it's absolutely really important. So I guess what you want to look for is either a combination of different folates. So this can be a little bit difficult to read on a label, but you might see folic acid, folinic acid, calcium folinate.
Sometimes it's hard to read the label.
So, yeah, sometimes it's really hard to read the label. So what you're looking out for is a combination of folic acid. So it's okay to have a little bit of folic acid. So don't see folic acid on a label and completely freak out. It's not going to do too much harm in small amounts. So under that 250, 200 micrograms is okay, unless there's a big reason for that. And we'll go into the HFR in a second. But yeah, you just want a combination of those that generally add up to about 500. You kind of want to, in my opinion, I generally get people to stay away from those really big folic. I think that's got 2,000 or 2 grams of folic acid or something in it.
Oh, is it that high?
Something like that. It's really big. Yeah, so looking for a combination of those is really important in your natal. And so I'm guessing the next question is why?
Yes.
Yes.
So we all relate this to something called MTHFR. So just be careful Googling this though, because it can get very confusing for everybody, including practitioners. However, in a nutshell, because of a very common genetic issue that many of the population have with activating and utilising folic acid, they will need this levofolate or calcium folinate instead to be able to get the nutrition they need for making a baby and also sustaining a pregnancy. How do you know if you've got this? It's through testing again. So there is a genetic test that you can do. I know that sounds a bit scary. I'm really mindful of saying anything to do with genetics because it sounds a bit scary for people, but it is really common and so many people in the population have.
I think it's 1 in 4.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that stat. But yeah, it's so common. Yeah, 1 in 4 is crazy, isn't it? And it depends on the type of genetic variant that you have with how severe or how that might impact your body. The next important thing to do, so you've got the MTHF gene test, and then on top of that, you always have to have a homocysteine test done on top of that, because homocysteine, the way I explain it, is that it is a measurement of the result of that gene malformation. So how is that gene variant actually affecting this person?
Okay.
So you could have one of the more severe gene variants and have homocysteine that's fine, or it could be really crazy high.
So if the homocysteine's being driven up high, you would say that gene's really switched on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very switched on. And then you'd be using higher doses of this methylfolate for a period of time. And the aim is to get those numbers down to a more healthy level for a short period of time, and then you can reduce the dose.
And because of this gene mutation and its inability to convert folate into its active form,
Yes.
was there associations with difficulty falling pregnant?
There can be, yeah, absolutely. As far as egg quality is concerned, absolutely. Commonly, we look at it for repeat miscarriage.
Yeah.
But I pay attention to it for anyone having difficulty conceiving or poor egg quality, but also poor morphology on a semen analysis as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, testing's really key. So there's the genetic test, which is what your genes are what you're born with, and then you need the homocysteine test. Otherwise, you're not going to know how much or how, like you said, how switched on that gene is and how much of the methylfolate you need and whether it's an issue for you. Yeah.
And I think some people can get really obsessed about this one gene.
Yes.
And it's probably important to realize that it's the whole picture of the person.
Absolutely.
And there's lots of different aspects that
Absolutely.
contribute.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, one of the things that frustrates me, again, I guess about that dosage and things is that fertility specialist or a GP may do that test and then just say, oh, you just need,
Megafol.
megafol or
What's
just,
megafol?
Megafol, is it 5 milligrams?
Yeah, I think it's 5
Of
milligrams.
folate?
Yeah.
When actually they don't need a really high dose of, it's folic acid. They don't need a really high dose of folic acid. They actually need an active form of folate.
Okay.
So that body that doesn't have to convert it.
Yep.
Yeah. Or as well, sometimes they just recommend like bioceuticals, MTHF, which is just 500 micrograms of it's the correct form, but the dose, like they're not doing the homocysteine testing and they're not tailoring the dose to the individual because that dose tailoring's absolutely key outcomes.
Wow. That was a great explanation.
Yeah, that's a good point
Yeah,
about
I
the
didn't know that.
homocysteine, and probably important for people to remember that if they have had that tested,
Yep.
to ask for that test. as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. Yeah, ask for that test, but make sure you've got the right interpretation as well, because you could get that tested and you'll be more than likely you'll be within the reference range for homocysteine. The homocysteine reference ranges through most of our mainstream labs are towards cardiovascular health and cardiovascular risk factors. It's got nothing to do with fertility.
So what are some of the prenatals that you recommend?
So I'm pretty on board with what your suggestions were as well.
We use pure natal
Yes.
and what else do we use?
Tressos.
Natal.
Yep. Yeah, they're the first two, probably the most common ones we use. And then I use the Designs for Health Prenatal Pro sometimes, just because it's in a 3-capsule dose, which can be better for some people if they're not good with supplements. It's a really tiny capsule, so I quite like that one.
That's good to know.
Yeah, and then we offer a retail one, which is Tasha Jennings Zycia Natal Nutrients, which is really good as well. It does have a little bit of folic acid in it. It's only got 200 milligrams in it, but it's as far as finding something that's off the shelf that's really well absorbed and has a nice range of nutrients in there.
Come into Sarnico and
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Okay.
it's just on the shelf there. And yeah, the other good thing about that one is that it's got a really good dose of choline in there as well, which you don't get.
You don't get with the Elevate.
No, you don't get with halibut.
Yes.
Halibut.
And why do we need choline?
Gosh, for so many reasons.
Just in a 2-word answer.
I don't think I can.
That's okay.
I don't think I can put that into a 2-word answer.
Would you say, though, it's important for the baby's development?
Absolutely. Yeah, really important for the baby's development. Absolutely.
We'll come back to that another time. Choline.
Can I ask also what
Yes.
prenatals do you, or preconception vitamins for men?
I don't have a standard one
Yep.
for men because I
Okay.
don't feel like there's anything on the market that, well, there used to be, but there's not anymore. That's a good standard across the board. I
Yeah.
think with men's fertility, it needs to be really tailored.
Interesting. So looking at those results and then really pumping the nutrients.
We find that in clinic too. We get the best results when we really tailor it to their health.
Absolutely, yeah. Sometimes I'll actually just give men a woman's preconception multi because it's got the most and there's the most in it for it's not gender specific.
No.
It's just a bunch of nutrients
with a label.
Yeah, I know. That's to cover that up and put men on the front.
And what about a prenatal without iron for people who have hemochromatosis or
absolutely,
something similar?
yeah. And that's something you want to watch out for. Most natals have some iron in there, but yeah, you can get ones without iron that might be more suitable for some people. Yeah,
Most of those are probably practitioner
yeah,
ones
yeah.
as well. So if you've got a compromise there with your iron,
most of the practitioner ones just have a really small amount in there. Whereas during pregnancy, a good portion of the time you might be needing to support iron further, which might mean that you need to supplement on top of that.
Which is most women.
Yeah, absolutely.
In pregnancy.
If I were to put a number on it, it'd be something like 80-90% of women need an extra iron during pregnancy. But yeah, you want to make sure it's the right form, just because of the some of the gastrointestinal challenges that women can already have with the hormonal fluctuations of pregnancy.
Creating more.
No, we don't need any more reflux or constipation during pregnancy, do we? So having the right form and dose is really important. Yeah.
And I guess it just comes back to that prep as well of just getting your body right, getting your gut right, being able to absorb everything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hopefully an easier pregnancy.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the biggest value of doing all of that prep work is that you already know there's no surprises, I guess, once you're pregnant. There's no surprises that come up with any sort of issues with nutrient absorption during pregnancy if you do all the work beforehand. And that way you get to pregnancy and hopefully you can just get away with being on 2 or 3 things.
And if you have more complex health issues, seeing a practitioner can be really beneficial.
Absolutely.
Say if you've got thyroid disease or polycystic ovaries.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that preconception supplement plan can be really tailored.
And it's doing all that preconception work and testing just helps take the pressure off once you're trying, because once women are trying, from a very young age, we've all been scared of getting pregnant. It's like
just magically.
You start menstruating and your whole life you're just petrified you're going to look at a boy and get pregnant. And we get older and we've been on the pill for 15, 20 years or whatever, and then you just think that your body's going to click in and get pregnant when you're ready. And unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. It does for some people, but you just want to take the pressure off. Do all that preconception work, and then once you're ready to try, just have some fun and relax with it. Get creative. It's meant to be an enjoyable time. We just don't want that to be any more stressful than it needs to be. So,
and I always say it's good to just have your team there.
Absolutely.
That support as well.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not talking to people about it either.
Yeah. And just trying to understand what a normal period is, what's heavy, what's light, what's normal, what's not normal. Getting to know your own secretions, shall we say.
Even just timing.
Yeah, timing, intercourse timing. Yep. So many people try too late in their cycle and miss the window. And it's not easy and it's not textbook. Every person is different and needs to be. There's no standard. We ovulate at day 14 and have a 28-day cycle. It's very rare to find that. And when you do, you're like, oh, really? Cool. You are textbook. Very rare.
Doesn't happen that often.
No, not very often. Not at all.
Anything else we need to talk about?
I think that was all my questions. Thank you so much for joining us today, Maree. So the takeaways are we need to get tested to find out what we really need. There are retail brands that are good, but generally we're looking for practitioner brands, really targeting fertility. And it's a complex issue, so I think it's probably a great idea to see a practitioner
absolutely
around that.
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
when trying to conceive.
Yeah, just for the right assessment and that right thorough assessment. Yeah.
And we can link in a few of those products.
Yes.
That we recommend.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend, subscribe where you listen, or head to Apple to rate and review. You will find the show notes on our website, conceivethepodcast.com.au, and can follow us on Instagram at conceive_podcast, where you can also leave questions for future episodes.